بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to come over here and learn about His deen. And it's been a wonderful trip so far. Alhamdulillah, we've been able to see some of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we will never be able to see when we're in our own city, in our own homes. And you know, you have to take some time and appreciate this. The fact that, you know, not many people get this opportunity. There are many people out there in the world, forget about just within the UK, just for a moment, you know, whilst we're musafirun as well, this already should have been done. You should have already made dua for your brothers and sisters that are actually being oppressed in lands where they don't have any escape. They don't get the opportunity to come and see some things like we see. And wallahi, we have such relaxed lives compared to what they go through. So this is one thing that I'm going to quickly say to you brothers and remind you brothers to try to do before we leave today, yeah? And alhamdulillah, like we see the designs, and I've already mentioned in the trip that we went, when we went on the trek, instantly in your mind, you should really be thinking, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. You haven't created this, oh our Lord, you haven't created this for any, without a purpose, basically. All of this contributes towards our recognition and acknowledgement of the one true creator out there. And we are also a creation of that creator. And also we should remind ourselves that we need to think about protection from nar. So whilst we're in this world and we're experiencing the beauties of this world and His creation, we need to protect ourselves from the one of two destinations that we're going to eventually reach, and we're thereby going to be in there forever. Yeah, either we're going to be entering paradise, or we're going to need protection from hellfire. For the first part of this nasiha, I'm not going to be talking to you from myself. We are going to get the first part of this nasiha from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly from Himself. Yeah? So what I'd like to do is do this exercise with you brothers. I want you guys to close your eyes whilst I'm going to be reciting some of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want you guys to, after I recite, keep your eyes closed. I'm going to say the translation of these ayat. And I want you guys to imagine the scene, but try not to imagine any faces or any of the figures. But just try to understand the emotions behind what's happening right now. Yeah? So if your brothers can quickly close your eyes for me, for the sake of understanding this passage.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد خلقناكم ثم صورناكم ثم قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس لم يكن من الساجدين قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين قال فاهبط منها فما يكون لك أن تتكبر فيها فاخرج إنك من الصاغرين قال أنظرني إلى يوم يبعثون قال إنك من المنظرين قال فبما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ولا تجد أكثرهم شاكرين.
And surely we created you, your father Adam, and then gave you shape, the noble shape of a human being. Then we told the angels prostrate to Adam, and then and they prostrated, except Iblis. He refused to be amongst those who prostrated to Adam alayhi salam. Allah said to him, what prevented you, O Iblis, to prostrate to Adam when I told you to do so, when I commanded you? Iblis said, I'm better than him. I'm better than this creation that you've just made. You created me from fire. And him, you created him from mud and clay. So why should I prostrate to him? Allah said, O Iblis, get down from this paradise. Get away from here. It is not for you to be arrogant here. Get out right now. For you are amongst those who are completely humiliated and amongst those who are disgraced. Close your eyes and try to just continue on with imagining this. Iblis said, he replied back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was told to go away and you're completely disgraced and you're completely rejected, humiliated. Iblis said, allow me respite till the day that that we are raised up, the day of resurrection. Allah said, you are allowed to respite. Iblis said to him, and this is the challenge of Iblis, because you've sent me astray, surely I will sit in wait against them, human beings, on your straight path. And what I will do is, I'll come to them from before them, from behind them, from their right, and from their left, and I'm going to keep attacking them. I'm going to keep attacking them. I'm going to keep attacking them until you will find most of them, they're going to be amongst those who are completely ungrateful. They're not going to even care about you. They will not be dutiful towards you. So this is the conversation that took place between Allah. You can open your eyes now, brothers. This is the conversation that took place between Allah and the rejected one, Shaitan. And from that point onwards in history, this was the beginning of the struggle between Haqq, the truth, and Batil. That was when the war started. And from that point onwards, that is when there's either been one side or the other. You are either amongst the people who are in the party of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who follows the truth, and you are in the worship and the commandment, or you are in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you are not in that party, then all else, everything other than that, is batil. You are in the party of Shaitan from that point onwards. And it's as simple as that, brothers. And a lot of people, sometimes they don't understand this, being in the UK, especially, and in the times that we're living in right now. You know, just because there are so many different parties, doesn't mean that, oh, there's multiple choices out there. Yeah, that there could be multiple truths out there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically says that He calls the religion the light. Yeah? He calls this religion Nur, not the plural of it. But everything else is dhulumat, darknesses. In other words, every other way other than the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is darkness. Now, brothers, whilst I continue on with this talk, I want to say this out of acknowledgement of my own weakness as well. When I speak to you, I'm not speaking to you for a moment, pretend as if you don't know who you're talking to right now, or who's talking to you right now. Pretend like I'm just a nobody right now. The voice that's coming to you right now is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The message that is coming to you right now is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a warning from Allah. And if you don't take this warning seriously, then wallahi, brothers, there's this saying, yeah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the opportunity to gain knowledge, and you don't take that knowledge seriously, then don't complain. Wallahi, do not complain when a problem befalls you. Because Allah tried helping you right now, but you decided you didn't care, or you didn't want to take it seriously. And it's a very powerful thing to think about. Allah has given you an opportunity to figure out what the solution of the problem that you're going to be facing soon is coming up. Yeah, it might strike you tomorrow, it might strike you later. You know, every time you face a fitna, is basically you dealing with shaitan. So if you want to know how to deal with shaitan right now, then try paying a little bit of attention to the voice and the message that is coming to you right now, not the person. I might be someone who not many people take seriously, but Allah is somebody you need to take serious. And the enemy of you and I is somebody that we have to take seriously. Shaitan's story started from when Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that he's going to send forth a Khalifa in this world. And from that point onwards, Shaitan was just listening to what Allah's plans are. And you know, he was at that time, he was a honored servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was an honored being. He was so honored that he was a creation that's known as the jinn kind. But he was raised to the ranks of the angels. Why? Because he was amongst those who worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that he should have been worshipped. And he did what Allah commanded him to do at a time when the jinn kind spread fawahish all over, like corruption all over the world. And that is one of the reasons why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed the angels of his intentions of creating a Khalifa for the world, the angels were actually baffled. Why would you want to create another creation that's going to have free will, that are going to spread around corruption in this land? When we're already here, we're worshipping you like the way you want us to worship you. Everything you love, we do. Everything you do not want us to do, we just stay away from you. Why do you want to do that? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, very simply, I know things that you do not know. What's that thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then at that point, all the creation of Allah, meaning the humankind, the children of Adam, were in front of Adam alayhi salam. And at that point, Adam alayhi salam was told of every single person's name. Yeah, this includes every famous person that you know. It includes every person that you can't even fathom in your life. Like for example, those people, like even those punks and rock stars and those people that are completely satanic worshippers, every single one was in front of Adam alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduced every single one of us to our father. This is Zakaria. He's going to be this. His profession is going to be this. His specialty is going to be this. His characteristic is going to be like this. This is Waqas. He's going to be from here. This is his specialty. His profession is going to be this. He's going to have this many children. He's going to have this. He's going to have this role in society, and so on and so on and so on. And this is where we hear the story of where Adam alayhi salam met his son Dawood alayhi salam, and he fell in love with him so much so that he gave up 40 years of his life just because he saw his face, and he just fell in love with him. And he forgot later that he gave him 40 years of his life out of 1,000 years that he was supposed to be living. From that point onwards, throughout the entire time that he's getting introduced to his children, Shaitan's just sitting there and just watching. He's just watching. He's just watching. And then after that, the angels, they conceded to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they said, you know what, we were wrong. Subhanaka la ilma lana. Glory be to you. There is no knowledge that we have. Illa ma allamtana, that you have taught us. Innaka antal alimul hakim. You are the all knowledgeable and the most wise. And so from that day onwards, there was no question about anything else. And to be fair, you should actually notice something here. Do angels ever question the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ever. When they're told to do something, they go and do it. So why is it that the angels are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this situation? Allah's told them that he's going to do something. The audacity of these angels to actually go and even ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, why are you going to be doing that when we're going to think we'll worship you anyway, like the way you want us to? It's not out of rebellious nature. It's because they just want you to understand. Yeah? And this is the one time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us when angels actually asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala why. And at this point, from that point onwards, we don't hear of another situation where angels are going to be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala why. Yeah? But then came the time when they conceded to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge. They were told, prostrate to Adam. Everybody prostrated. Now in this situation, Shaitan's been holding his jealousy, his arrogance, his ill feelings. He can see, you know, there's a narration where Adam alayhi salam, before he was created, he was an empty, hollow shell. And one of our imams, one of our beloved sheikhs, he narrates this story where Shaitan was walking past this shell and he tapped onto the shell and he heard a hollow noise. And from that point onwards, this hatred in him just came into his heart. He said, what a weak being. If you are given authority over me, I'm going to disobey you. And if I'm giving authority over you, I'm just going to abuse you. That's how bad you are. That's how weak you are in my sight. He had this hatred for Adam alayhi salam from the moment, like before he was even born, he was created. So at that point, he had this resentment. He didn't say anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whilst he's giving him all this attention. And notice, Shaitan's not losing any sort of honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he's going, like when he's telling people about the children of Adam and Adam alayhi salam himself. But when the time came for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to say, prostrate to Adam alayhi salam out of respect, that was boiling point. That was at this point, he just exploded. And he said, no. Why? Why should I do that? He's weak. He's created from clay. You created me from fire. I'm much better than him. Why should I prostrate with this guy? Why are you giving him so much attention, oh Allah? I love you way more than him. I know you better than him. So why should I do this? Why are you giving him that much attention for? Shouldn't I be the one who's getting that attention instead? There's a lesson in this, by the way, brothers. And especially for our young brothers over here, I want you to take heed to this here. Shaitan had pent up feelings in him. He didn't talk about it. He didn't say anything to anybody. Not to the angels, not to anybody. He just kept letting it grow. He kept letting it grow and kept letting it grow until the point where it exploded and he did what he shouldn't have done. He did something that he couldn't take back. From that day onwards, he can never take back that day. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him arrogant, when he acted arrogantly to the point where like he was now rejected, till the last day, he's destined to go into hell. He's not going to be able to escape that. When you are going through something, make sure you talk to your fathers. When you are going through something and there is some sort of ill feeling in your heart, even if it's against your father, even if it's against your family, make sure you talk to them. Because if you don't talk to them, that feeling is going to grow until the point where you're going to do something that you're going to regret for your entire life. That's one of the biggest lessons we take from this. The ayat that I mentioned before we started this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the opposite of shaitan's arrogance. And I'm going to end with a very simple lesson. Yeah? Shaitan, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him arrogant, you're amongst the arrogant, get away from here. From this day onwards, I don't even look at you. He said, oh Allah, please give me respite. And Allah granted him that. Yeah? He said, you're calling me arrogant, oh Allah. I'm going to make sure that you see that from the creation that you love so much, that you chose over me, that you decided to give more honor than me, I'm going to show you how ungrateful they could be. Why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he say to Allah that I'm going to show you that they're also going to be arrogant? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is informing us of his definition or his understanding, or the understanding that he wants to impart on us of the opposite of arrogance. If I ask you guys what the opposite of arrogance is, yeah, you're probably going to think, oh, somebody who is humble, somebody who is more grateful, right? This is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically wanted us to know. The opposite of somebody who is arrogant is somebody who is completely ungrateful and does not care about the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, of the favors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done to him. So I'm going to tell you something. The other thing I'm going to say to you, we hear this very often every time we recite the Quran, that shaitan attacks us from all four directions. The front, the back, the right, and the left. What do we think of that when we actually even hear that? We don't think of it much. We think, oh yeah, he's going to come at us from every direction. That's all it is. His whispers are going to come from every direction. Those four directions signify a specific thing. Now I'm going to teach you this, and if there's anything you take away from this talk, I want you brothers to please remember this. Yeah? When shaitan attacks you from the front, he is attacking you with prospects, with greed, with what is going to come in the future. I want this. I want that in the future. When I look at somebody and he's got this, I want to be like him. At that point, how do you be grateful? You remember the favors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already bestowed upon you. You remember that regardless of whether I get this or not, alhamdulillah for what we have. And for those brothers who are involved in social media and stuff like that, this is exactly one of the biggest weapons of shaitan. Shaitan shows you from somebody who's in the other end of the world what he's got, and he makes you see this from your location and all he does is instill this greed in your heart that I'd like this from that person. You remind yourself to save yourself from that. You remind yourself of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. When he attacks you from behind, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically saying that he does? Or what does this attack signify? He is reminding you of the past. The wrong things that you might have done in the past. The things that the little mistakes that you might have missed out on. The little opportunities that you might have missed out on when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented in front of you. Charity work, whatever it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically telling you, don't despair. Even if you've missed those opportunities, Allah's going to keep giving you opportunities. And this is who Allah is. Allah is somebody who continuously has mercy on us. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. So he will always give you an opportunity to do something good. Just make sure this time you're ready. Don't lose out on it. Your sins, don't worry about that. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. One thing you have to remember, brothers, as well. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you, he doesn't just forgive you. When you make sincere tawbah, he doesn't just forgive you for that one act that you've done. You know, no matter how many times you've done this act, let's take, for example, a person who smoked his entire life. Yeah. Now he's come to a point where he's decided he wants to give up that smoke. Allah, obviously, up until that point, has an account of every time he's taken a puff. He's taken it in. So, the moment he's made sincere tawbah, all that collectively gets forgiven and wiped off. So, no matter how many times you've repeated that one sin over and over again in your life, that gets collected, gets chucked out the window. Only Allah has knowledge of the fact that you've done it. He will cover it for you on the Day of Judgment, and there will be no mentioning of it ever again. When he attacks you from the right, yeah, oh, by the way, in that situation, that's how you be grateful. You be grateful of the fact that Allah is merciful, and you basically wait for the opportunity to do better. When he's attacking you from the right, he's attacking you with halal and self-righteousness. The things that you do that are good, but what happens? Shaitan comes to you, oh wow, you did such a wonderful job in this point. Allah's going to definitely give you Jannah for this. No, you remind yourself that everything that you do that is good is from who? Brothers, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is from you, from your own ability, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enabled you to do it. He's given you the two hands that you've used to do that deed. He's given you the 2 feet that you use to walk towards that deed. He's given you the 2 eyes to witness that deed. He's given you the 2 ears to hear whatever you're hearing. And he's given you every other ability to make sure that you fulfill that deed in the way that you did. Even then, what do we do once we fulfill a deed? What do? We say, Astaghfirullah. Imagine when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he completed his mission. Even when he did the greatest of deeds, he guided the entire mankind to the truth. What was he told to do? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. He said, seek forgiveness from Allah from any shortcomings that you might have done. And the last thing I'm going to say, and we're going to end after this, is the bad deeds from the left. That's the attack of the left. When you do something wrong, yeah, Allah is watching to see how do you protect yourself from that? How do you be grateful? Shaitan is basically making you do these bad things, and what he makes you do, again, it's like despair. He makes you become complicit with it. He makes you become complacent. Whenever you do whatever you're doing, and he makes you feel like, okay, I'm just doing this bad deed, but then there's no hope for me. What's the point? I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. Again, the way you protect yourself from that attack is by becoming grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stopped people who are much worse than you in history, he can also give the ability to stop you, yeah, from doing the little bad deeds that you're doing. You just need to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving you the opportunity and giving you the ability to stop those deeds. Shaitan's job is for you to be complicit with doing haram very easily. And his job is for you to look at halal and think of it as a difficult task. But a believer with true vision and understanding of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and the challenge of shaitan understands that it is not hard to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to do. Rather, it's actually the only way for us. There is no other way than follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commandment. The last thing I will say, he will continue to attack you until you lose that gratefulness. So please, brothers, I beg you, before going home, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to instill that gratefulness in your heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who are shakirin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who are resurrected before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst those who will be with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, protected from shaitan and his attacks from all angles, all four directions. وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.